Right, Simon Hibbs here, and I'm just going to demo the latest iteration of my traveller mapping application for the iPad that I'm developing on the iPad. So I just fire up Pythonista. If you didn't see my previous video, so Pythonista, it's a Python programming language development environment on the iPad. So there's some limitations to it, but it's actually fairly capable. So there's the code for the application. Pretty much similar as you might have seen the last time. So I'll just fire it up and just talk about it. So launching the application, you click the little button on the top right hand corner. It's starting now. It does take a while, I'm afraid. It was taking up to about 10 seconds before. Now it's taking more like, I think it was about 17, something like that, which is really a bit too long because, you know, when I'm going through the development cycle, you know, make a change, launch the app, test it, it's getting painful. When it was about 10 seconds, it was okay, but now it's taking about 17. Now, the reason why it's taking so much longer is to do with the way that it's drawing world names. So this is a bit inside baseball from a development point of view, but obviously the more graphical sort of candy that I put on the screen, the longer it's going to take to draw, right? So I'm displaying world UWPs and world names as well. So that increases the draw time a little bit. What's really killing it is the way I'm drawing the names. So the problem is when you're drawing the hexes, right, you draw one hex after the other, right, in a sequence, and it's basically drawing from top down, left to right. So what was happening was if you had a long world name, such as this one in the middle here, Mike Hagler, whatever that is. Anyway, so you see it's kind of overlapping the edge of the hex on the left and right. Now, what was happening is because the hex to the bottom right was drawn after that hex, it was layered on top. So it was hiding the right-hand part of the name. Now, to get around that, what I had to do was, in the code that draws the hex, instead of draw or display the world name as sort of a child view of the hex, I had to move it up a layer and draw it on the map view above, right? So that means that the world names are sort of the last thing drawn. They're on the top layer, if you like, and that way they don't get, you know, hidden by anything because they overhang the edges of the hexes. That's a problem. So just making that change bumped it up from about 10 seconds to draw to generate the map up to about 16, 17, which is painful. So I'm going to have to see what I can do about optimization, but right now I don't think there's a huge amount I can do about it. Optimizations would be things like drawing a less detailed sort of zoom out view and only drawing a detail hex view like this when you select a smaller region, something like that. But that's obviously a fair bit of dev work, so you know that's not something I'm looking at implementing straight away. So anyway, that's enough waffling about that. So let's have a look at editing a hex. So let's have a look at, the other thing that's new from the last time is we have world names, right, which are auto-generated. So the world names is based on a static list, which is pretty huge. I think it's something like 10,000 words. I'll have to check, but it's quite large. And then also adding some random extra stuff on there. So every now and then it'll prefix a world with new. So here we go. We've got one up at the top near there, new Linnea, sort of in the middle, kind of 2/3 of the way up. So randomly it'll add new to the beginning, or we've got Eric 5 there near the middle, like a Roman numeral 5, and you get one, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. We've got Kana Alpha in the middle there. So, and you can have Kana Alpha, Kana Delta, Kana whatever. So, you know, it sort of randomly spices up the names a bit. So let's have a look at the world editor. So I tap on a world, and this is the new editor. So now I can actually change those values in a nice user interface. So let's change that name. Gear prime, oops, sorry. So that's, no. Gear prime, right. So that doesn't change in the map straight away because I haven't finished editing. So if I tap somewhere else, There you go. If I tap on another field, basically, it updates in the map straight away. So there we go, Getty Prime. Now, the same goes for the attributes. So if I change the starport type, and if I change all the other attributes, so let's do them in sequence so it's clear that you can see what's going on. 2, 3, 4, oh, that's 5 already, and then 6. Let's get rid of that. There. So there you go, A0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. So you can see that that's working. Now, this took quite a bit of time to develop because I'm used to developing sort of desktop GUI applications, and in those there's a widget called a combo box, which is a field where you have a list of values. So you have a value and you can click a button like that and choose from a list, and there you go. And you get that basically for free, right? It's a standard widget. Well, there's no such standard widget in iOS, so I had to develop my own. So I had to do all of this pretty much manually. You do get some components you can use, so you've got a list box in there that's actually the list, but everything else, composing it all together had to be done pretty much manually. But it works pretty well. You can choose from the list, you can press the button. If you don't want to change the value, you just press the button again and it's okay. The button, again, is a bit of a placeholder. It's just got a kind of a character V in it. Normally you'd have something like a down pointing triangle. Well, I haven't got around to implementing that, but it's okay, it works. So that's it. I mean, that's the basics of an editor. I still need to be displaying trade codes. I'm generating them, but I'm not displaying them. I'm not doing anything with them yet. So trade codes, then what's next? Well, the ability to save and load data, I suppose, like a persistence layer. So I suppose that would be the next thing to think about. And then once you've got that, you can actually start doing useful things with it, right? And then beyond that, things like trade routes, export routes, that sort of thing. So it's all sort of beginning to come together. So the basic functionality in terms of editing is still there. You can sort of just tap, delete stuff, and then put your worlds back however you want to do that. That's all works fine, and dynamically generates your world as you go with random names and so on. So I mean, the random names are just it's not very flexible right now. Obviously, if you wanted to have your own name list, have to think about how you'd have an interface for setting that up, or you want some alternate way to generate your names. But it gets you started, and if you just really want to throw a setting together, it works fine, I think. So I'll upload the video and post it to the usual forums. Any comments, welcome. Requests, suggestions, is all very welcome. So looking forward to hearing your comments. Thank you very much.